Good afternoon to all participants. On behalf of the Academy, I welcome you all to day 37 of the Appendix 3 session. The topic to be delivered today is Government e-Marketplace and e-Reverse Auction. To take you through the session, we are privileged to have Sri Ankur Srivastav, Deputy CVO, Stores. Good afternoon, sir, and welcome to the session, sir. Now over to you for the topics.
Very good afternoon, and thank you so much for this opportunity to discuss with all the people here. Okay, so I understand that this is a session for your Appendix 3 exam training. Am I correct there?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. True.
Okay, so all of you are preparing for the exams. So instead of presenting something which instead of it being a one-way discussion where I'll tell you something and that's all, I would rather like to begin the session as a pull session. What is it that you want to know? Based on that, I will structure my presentation as it goes forward. So from the participants, if you have any specific queries, any specific thing that you would like to know during the session, please tell me so I can incorporate that in my session as we go along.
Yes, just a minute, sir. This is also inclusive of LDC exam also. So both are integrated together.
Okay, great. So LDC as well as appendix,
yes,
both are there. Good.
Thank
so
you.
Very nice. So all of you are preparing for the exam. So I'm sure you must have already gone through a lot of stuff, studying it, etc. Whatever doubts you have, whatever things you want me to clarify during the progress of this session, please highlight it now. I'll take it up. Otherwise, as we go along, whatever doubts you have, we can discuss again. I want it to be an interactive session. I do not want it to be a lecture. I want it to be a discussion. So anybody?
The participants have been muted. Now, shall we unmute for participants?
Yeah. Please. Okay. I want all the participants to be unmuted.
Okay, sir. Okay.
A little bit of disturbance is better than no disturbance.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
Thank you.
Sir, all are unmuted, sir. Participants, all are unmuted.
So participants, now you have the freedom. If you have anything that you want me to cover, please share with me, and then we'll start off with the presentation. In the meanwhile, I'll share my presentation.
All participants are requested to interact with the faculty, please. No response.
Is my presentation visible to everybody?
No, sir, it is not visible.
Is this visible?
It is visible, sir.
Right, great. So I'm Ankur Srivastav, and I'm presently working as Deputy CVO Stores here in South Central Railway. The topic that has been given to me today is GeM and eRA. My question, what I have done is, the idea is to convey to you what all latest developments are there in railway working, especially in the stores aspects. So I have kind of slightly expanded the scope of this session today, and adding more additional new development in railway stores working, which is the Make India. Let me just do the slideshow. Right. So one more thing I have done is the Make in India preference clause. So today, I intend to discuss with you GeM, Make in India preference clause, and reverse auction. These three things I want to discuss with you. I also have some slides ready on the existing. See, this is all new things which are coming in railways. I also have kept ready a few slides on what is the existing things, what are the existing terms and conditions, IRS conditions, and tender conditions. So along the session, if you have any doubts on existing rules, the old rules, if I may say so, then please feel free to discuss that also. I'll be very happy to answer any of your queries that I can answer. There's a chat message. Okay, somebody says please speak in Hindi. Vinodji, because there's a session spanning all Indian Railways, so and everybody may not be very comfortable with Hindi. So what I will do is I will.
मैंने कनाडा के पूछने के लिए फोन किया था, उसको नॉलेज है ना।
Suresh, were you trying to say something?
कनाडा
Or if it is in a,
मेरी वो जा रही है ना, अम्मा की बेटी जा रही है।
Suresh ji, yeah, please, thank you. Okay. So yeah, sometimes in Hindi is what I'm going to do. मैं थोड़ा हिंदी में बात करूंगा, थोड़ा इंग्लिश में बात करूंगा. Idea is सबको बात समझ में आनी चाहिए, बस इतना हम काम करेंगे. तो आज हम लोग 3 टॉपिक्स पे बेसिकली डिस्कस करेंगे: GeM, मेक इन इंडिया प्रेफरेंस क्लॉज और रिवर्स ऑप्शन. So first of all, GeM started in the year 2017, and earlier there was something called DGSND, Directorate General of Supplies and Disposal. That organization was wound up, and it was in fact turned into GeM. Now, how is DGSND different from GeM? Let me just give you a brief, background or the history of GeM. So in DGSND, some common items, DGSND itself used to float tenders and enter into rate contracts. Rate contracts means the rate is fixed, but the quantity is not fixed. And any of the DDOs, the direct demanding officers, railway officers, other department officers, they could straight away place an order against that rate contract. That was the idea behind DGSND rate contract. They will enter into the rate contract, and we can operate the rate contract and allot specific quantities to the firms which are there in the rate contract. That was the idea of DGSND. Now, GeM is a totally different ball game. Here, GeM is just a marketplace. It is like Amazon. It is like Flipkart. Okay, firms are there. They are offering their products to you. You are there. You are the buyer. You are there to buy. Now, it is your lookout to see what you want to buy, what specifications you want. Of course, there are restrictions. We'll come to that later on. How much you want, what is the price at which you are willing to buy. So even price now is completely in the domain of the purchaser, the buyer, or in our case, the railway officers. In DGSND, the rates were decided by DGSND itself. Here, the rates are not pre-decided. So it is just like a marketplace, just like Amazon and Flipkart, where the buyers are available, the sellers are available. The two of you can come together and decide upon what you want to buy. Of course, there are some rules, which we will discuss in details. So it's a marketplace. Central government offices register as buyers or consignees or paying officers. So for accounts, paying officers is also there. So central government offices can register as buyers, consignees, and paying officers. These are 3 different roles available in GeM. Some state governments too have onboarded on GeM, but for them it is not mandatory. For central government, it is mandatory, as I'll tell you in the next slide. A very, of course, it may feel very cliche. Everybody is talking about online these days, but that feature is also available on GeM, and it is available right from step 1 to step end. Okay, all transactions are completely online. The floating of bid, the opening of bid, the acceptance of bid, releasing of order, recording the receipt of material, recording the acceptance of material, recording the payment, everything is on the same platform, GeM. Okay, that is how it is supposed to be. Of course, in the railways case, the payment integration has been done. So payment part is still being done outside GeM, and we are updating manually on GeM. But for many of the departments, even payment is through GeM itself. So basically from start to end, everything is on one platform. Next, and a thing which we are sometimes not very used to is that there are strict timelines for each activity. So for example, the material is received. Within 10 days, the material should either be accepted or rejected. If we do not accept it in 10 days, the system, of course, now they have treated the system, but earlier it was like this, that system will automatically treat that the item has been accepted. So it's a very strict timeline. You have to do it in 10 days. Beyond that, you will not have the opportunity to with the material. Similarly, payment. Once the bill has been submitted and the acceptance has been conveyed, within 10 days, the payment should be made. There are some departments where the payment is directly linked to GeM. In such departments, the money gets automatically deducted from the bank account of the department and goes to an escrow account. So, we don't have that liberty of leaving the bill pending or, taking some more time on it. No, we have to do it in those 10 days. In fact, recently, one guideline has come that wherever delays are being noticed, wherever Mr. K. Gupta, thank you. Wherever delays are being noticed, there's a provision now that government, the department will have to pay a penalty of, I think, if I'm not wrong about the figure, they have to pay a penalty of 1% per week or something like that. Although it will not go to firm, but it will be deducted from our own budget. It will go to some general account of Government of India right now. The idea is to make us feel that we are being penalized for delayed payments. Okay, so in a nutshell, let me just tell you once again, government e-marketplace एक marketplace है, like Amazon, like Flipkart, जहाँ पे buyers हैं, sellers हैं, और आप आपस में डिसाइड कर सकते हैं आपको क्या खरीदना है. कुछ रूल्स हैं जो मैं आगे बताऊंगा. सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट ऑफिसेस के लिए ये मैंडेटरी है. स्टेट गवर्नमेंट्स भी ऑन बोर्ड कर चुके हैं, कुछ स्टेट गवर्नमेंट्स, एंड सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट ऑफिसेस कैन रजिस्टर एज बायर्स.
Sir, can I mute all the participants?
Central government offices.
The session will unmute, sir.
Okay, please mute them. Okay, fine. Please mute them. If anybody has any questions, please put it on chat. I will take your questions on chat.
Yes, sir. Or else please raise your hands if any urgent questions. I will unmute. Okay, sir. Right, sir. Thank you.
I think that should work fine. ठीक है. तो सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट ऑफिस के लिए मैंडेटरी है और 3 अलग अलग रोल्स दिए गए हैं जेम में, बायर, कंसाइनी और पेइंग अथॉरिटी. ये 3 रोल्स दिए हुए हैं. एक अकाउंट मैक्सिमम 2 रोल्स के लिए रजिस्टर हो सकता है. बायर कंसाइनी हो सकता है, कंसाइनी अकाउंट हो सकता है, बायर अकाउंट हो सकता है. 3 रोल्स के लिए नहीं. एंड ऑफ कोर्स जैसा मैंने बताया सारे ट्रांजैक्शंस ऑनलाइन है एंड देयर आर स्ट्रिक्ट टाइमलाइंस. 10 दिन में एक्सेप्टेंस देना है, 10 दिन में पेमेंट करना है. दीज आर द कंडीशंस अवेलेबल इन GeM e-market, government e-marketplace. Okay. Now, I told you that it is mandatory. Why is it mandatory? Because it's given in para 149 of General Financial Rules. It is mandatory to procure items available on GeM through GeM itself. Please understand, all the items are not available on GeM. But if any item is available on GeM, it must mandatorily be procured from GeM. That is the rule. Okay. Then second thing which we have to understand now when we are working on GeM is, आपने देखा होगा स्टोर्स डिपार्टमेंट में जब परचेज होता है तो what happens is the indenter will give the specification. They'll make the tender, they'll make an indent description with all specifications and we'll just float the tender with those specifications, right? But GeM पे ऐसा नहीं होता है. GeM में हर कैटेगरी की अपनी एक स्टैंडर्ड लिस्ट ऑफ स्पेसिफिकेशंस हैं एंड फॉर ईच स्पेसिफिकेशन देयर आर सेट ऑफ अलाउड वैल्यूज. वी कैन ओनली सेलेक्ट द स्पेसिफिकेशंस अवेलेबल ऑन GeM and select the corresponding allowed values. We cannot make any customized specification. Recently some changes been there. They have said that we will allow you to add some 4 customized fields further which you can do on your own, but it should not derogate with any of the specifications already available. So मैं जैसा कोई example बताता हूँ. Suppose you want to buy a computer. Okay. So on GeM, in the normal course in IREPS when we float, what happens is, suppose the editor says I want desktop all-in-one type with the Intel Core processor i7 so and so, so and so, so and so. A long list of description comes. Now I can write so many things. The the screen size is 21.7 inches. I want it with UPS. I want it without UPS. I want with a screen guard. So many things can be done. In GeM, that is not possible. In GeM, first select and go to the category computers, desktop computers. In that category, there are certain set of specifications. Okay, there may be a specification on RAM and specification of the processor type. So I can select processor type. Allowed values are i3, i5, i7, i9. I will only select i5, i7. That is, these 2 values are acceptable to me. RAM, Possible values are, let's say 32 GB, 64 GB, so on, so on and so forth. I do not want to select all of them. I will only take 64 and 128 GB. Okay. So this way you are restricting allowed values out of what is already available on GeM. You cannot go outside the specifications available on GeM. That we must understand when we are working on GeM. Okay. And third, which is a very important thing, which we must keep in mind, especially the purchasing officers, is that the rate reasonability has to be assessed by the purchase officer. In DGSND rate contract, the rates were fixed by the DGSND. The direct demanding officer, the railway officer for that matter, had no role to play in fixing the rates. But in GeM, the rate decision on rate and assessing the rate reasonability is solely the domain of the purchase officer himself. This is something which we must all keep in mind when we are handling GeM purchases. So now that we have understood the basics of GeM, let us understand the modes of purchases on GeM. So like we have, you would be more conversant with the terms like single tender, limited tender, open tender. In GeM, we have three different modes of purchase similarly. One is called the direct purchase. Second one is called the L1 purchase. And third one is called the bid or the reverse auction. Bid or reverse auction is almost the same as our tendering process, open tender that we float. What is direct purchase and what is L1 purchase, I'll tell you. In direct purchase, the limit is up to, so maybe for your examination, this will be an important thing. I don't know, I'm just guessing. The limit for direct purchase is 25,000 rupees. Okay, that means up to 25,000 rupees, I can simply go to GeM, select whatever product I want to buy, and purchase it. That's it. Like Amazon, Flipkart, you go to GeM, select the product you want to buy it. That's it. Nothing more to be done. Okay. This is allowed up to a purchase value of 25,000 rupees. Okay. Then comes the L1 purchase, which is allowed up to 5 lakh rupees. Now in L1 purchase, what they say is, you cannot just go and select anything. Please select the category. Select the desired specifications, as I mentioned, the allowed values. Okay. Based on this category and the desired specifications, the system will filter out a list of products presently available in the market. Okay. So suppose you select Intel Core i5 and i7 processor as allowed values and RAM as 4 GB and 6 GB as allowed values. It will filter out all the products available on GeM and only show you products that have these specifications. Again, similar to what Amazon and Flipkart do. But here comes the change. Now you are required to choose any 3 different brands and different sellers to make a comparison. This comparison is mandatory. Okay. So you compare 3 products. Along with your own 3 selected products, system will also present to you the lowest available offer based on the specifications that you had selected. So out of the filtered list, whichever one is the lowest, that also it will show to you. Your 3 results and one lowest available offer in the filtered list, that will be shown to you. Now, if you are ready and willing to buy the lowest offer being shown by the system, you can simply place the order. No need to go for a bidding or a tendering or anything. This is called the L1 purchase. The lowest offer available based on the specification selected. If you are willing to purchase that, you can purchase on GeM without bidding or tendering. This is called L1 purchase. Okay. And third, of course, above 5 lakh rupees is bid or RA, which means I will select my specifications, allowed values for each of the specifications, float a bid, let the people give their offers, and then I will process. We'll see the details of bid RA slightly more in detail in subsequent slides. Now, please understand that bid RA is mandatory above 5 lakhs, but nothing stops us from floating bid or RA even below 5 lakhs. In fact, GeM terms and conditions itself mentions that bidding and RA is the preferred mode of procurement even below 5 lakh rupees. Secondly, as I mentioned about L1 purchase, if you are willing to purchase the lowest selected offer, then you can go for L1 purchase. But if you are not willing to accept that offer, then you have to mandatorily go for bidding, even though the purchase value is less than 5 lakh rupees. Okay. So these are the different modes of purchases and the value limits for each of the mode of the purchase. Please understand, before I go further, let me just highlight this to you, that on GeM, whatever purchase made should be made as per terms and conditions available on GeM. Our IRS conditions do not apply. All our conditions do not apply. Conditions applicable for purchase on GeM are the conditions mentioned in GeM alone. Okay, na? So again, in a nutshell, there are 3 modes of purchase होते हैं: direct purchase, L1 purchase और bidding और RA. Direct purchase 25,000 रुपए तक खरीदा जा सकता है. Okay, I'll tell you. किसी ने पूछा है what is the full form of RA? I'll tell you. So direct purchase 25,000 तक कर सकते हैं. L1 purchase 5 लाख तक कर सकते हैं. 5 लाख तक तब अगर हम सिस्टम द्वारा जो L1 ऑफर आता है, अगर हम उसको एक्सेप्ट करने को तैयार हैं, तो हम L1 परचेज कर सकते हैं. अगर नहीं तो हमें नहीं करना है. और 5 लाख के ऊपर बिडिंग RA मैंडेटरी है. GeM टर्म्स एंड कंडीशंस वेरी क्लियरली स्टेट कि अगर 5 लाख से कम है तो भी बिडिंग या RA इज द preferred mode of purchase. Now what is RA? Somebody asked. RA is nothing but reverse auction. So GeM platform पे bidding का भी procedure available है, reverse auction का procedure भी available है. दोनों आपके पास open है. Both are almost equivalent. You can whatever you want. Okay. So now that we have done modes of purchase, let us come to selecting specifications. So मैंने आपको बताया कि जब आप L1 purchase कर रहे हैं या जब आप RA या bidding कर रहे हैं, तो you have to select the specifications. Okay. So let us see what exactly I mean when I say that we have to select the specifications. Okay, I'm sorry. Right. So suppose I'm going for direct or L1 purchase. सबसे पहले मुझे select करना है category. क्या category है जो मैं खरीद रहा हूँ? It can be desktop computer, it can be bolts, it can be some kind of a chemical, can be a car, vehicles. These are different. There are at least more than 1,000 categories available on GeM. So first thing I have to do is select the category of the item that I want to purchase. Okay. Now, once selected the category, I also have to select some subcategories. Some items have some further subcategories that also I have to select. And then comes the golden parameters. What are golden parameters? This again, please understand, this is an important concept in GeM. What is reverse auction? Okay, so Mr. Singh asked what is reverse auction. आगे हम anyways eRA discuss कर रहे हैं, तो eRA basically e-reverse auction. तो मैं आपको reverse auction वहाँ पे तफसील में समझा दूंगा. Okay, तो golden parameters क्या हैं? Golden parameters are the important specifications that have a bearing on the financial offer, which means इसके कारण उसका प्राइस में अंतर आ सकता है. जैसे अगर हम I5 और I7 सिलेक्ट कर रहे हैं, तो नेचुरली अगर मैंने I5 की जगह I7 सिलेक्ट किया, तो इट विल हैव एन इम्पैक्ट ऑन द प्राइस ऑफ द प्रोडक्ट आई एम गोइंग टू परचेज. तो इट विल बी अ गोल्डन पैरामीटर फॉर दैट पर्टिकुलर आइटम. तो हर कैटेगरी में कैटेगरी की लिस्ट ऑफ स्पेसिफिकेशंस हैं. लेट अस फॉर एग्जांपल, लेट अस अज्यूम दिस केस ऑफ डेस्कटॉप. डेस्कटॉप में मैं एक एग्जांपल दे रहा हूं आपको. देयर विल बी मेनी मोर स्पेसिफिकेशन, बट लेट अस से दैट डेस्कटॉप हैज ओनली 3 स्पेसिफिकेशंस: स्क्रीन साइज, RAM, processor type. Let us say one more, RAM, processor type, screen size, and let us say with screen guard, without screen guard. ठीक है? इसमें जो पहले 3 they will golden parameters. मतलब आपका हो गया RAM size, screen size और processor type. ये तीनों golden parameters हैं, because they will have an impact on the price of the product. चौथा, screen guard चाहिए कि नहीं चाहिए, that is not a really big financial implication, तो उसको वो लोग non golden parameter रख देते हैं. This division is done by GeM. We don't have any role to play. Whatever they are divided into, same we have to do. So you have to select the allowed values for each of the golden parameters. You may also select allowed values for other, that is non golden parameters. Golden parameters के लिए select करना जरूरी है for RA bidding. Okay, for non golden parameters you may or you may not. ठीक है ना? आपने एक बार ये स्पेसिफिकेशन सिलेक्ट कर लिए, then system will automatically filter and show you what all available offers are available based on the selections that you have made. अगर आपने I5, I7 allowed value select किया है, it will show you all computers which have I5 or I7 configuration. Okay. Now for RA and bidding, as I mentioned, selecting allowed values for each golden parameter is mandatory. For L1, you can just select 1 or 2 and be happy with it. But if you are going for an RA or bidding, you must select allowed values for all the golden parameters. If you do not select, the system will automatically select all the values. What will happen is, suppose you want to buy, let's say i5 or i7 processor only, but you do not select this golden parameter. So system will say that for you, everything is acceptable. So Celeron is also acceptable, i3 is also acceptable, i5 is also acceptable, i7 is also acceptable. What will happen is then when the tender opens, you will see that the lowest offer is of Celeron processor. You do not want Celeron processor, but you cannot pass over because that is as per the bid conditions. Bid allows Celeron. So to avoid such kind of problems, it is very important that when we are floating the bid, or even when we are purchasing L1 purchase, we must be very careful about the allowed values that we are selecting in the GeM specifications. Please, for the examination purpose, and these terms may be important for you, golden parameters and allowed values. Okay, so this is done. Let us look at a few more details about how product is selected. मैंने आपको जनरल बता दिया L1 परचेज में कैसे कैसे हमें प्रोडक्ट हमें स्पेसिफिकेशन सेलेक्ट करना है, L1 सेलेक्ट करना है, L1 करो, allowed value सेलेक्ट करनी है, so on. System allows us to make a purchase on PAC basis only also. Okay, तो अगर मेरे पास requisite approvals हैं, then I can go to the system and say I want to purchase only a specific brand. Otherwise, the system does not allow you to restrict to brands. Even जैसे हमारा normal course होता है कि we will say कि मुझे Dell, HP, Lenovo चाहिए, और उसमें लोग टेंडर फ्लोट कर देते हैं, खरीद देते हैं. GeM वो अलाउ नहीं करता. GeM will not allow restriction on brands at all. Okay, you have to keep it open to all brands. The only thing that is possible is if you have the requisite approvals, you say I have to buy only one brand. Let's say Dell. Then you select Dell, and only the offers of Dell brand will be available. Okay, so PAC purchase is possible, but you must have the requisite approvals as per your internal rules. That is the whole idea behind PAC purchase. Let me again digress a bit and let me convey this to you. GeM kahin bhi, GeM is not a workflow of approvals. Okay, which means GeM mein kahin bhi, other than sanctioning the, releasing the purchase order, GeM mein kahin bhi approval nahi record hota hai ki I have so and so, I have approved the purchase of so and so. Okay, the person can take the approval of any authority, higher authority if that is required, on paper. Okay, keep it with them and upload a copy of that paper on GeM. GeM will not check what is written on the paper. It will trust the account holder. Suppose I am the buyer, I am buying something which requires approval of PCMM. Okay, I can take approval of PCMM on paper. I can upload that paper on GeM platform. GeM will not question anything. I can as well upload a blank paper on GeM. It will not question. Okay, but that document is there. It will be available as in the audit trail. And if later on I'm asked that what was the authority for purchase, then I can say that I had taken the authority from authorization from PCMM and the document is attached on the GeM platform. Okay, so taking the authorization, taking the sanction, taking the approval is the responsibility of the buyer on GeM. Okay, he can upload those authorizations on GeM and GeM will maintain a record of that. Okay, but GeM will not check whether proper authorization has been taken or not. Okay. Another question that comes quite often times is, I said that whenever a product is available on GeM, it must be procured on GeM. The question is what to do if the desired product is not available on GeM. Okay. Ideally speaking, you can go outside GeM and purchase it, but prudence demands that we should try to onboard the suppliers who are supplying these items on GeM itself so that we can make the purchase on GeM. If suppose the category itself is not available, suppose for example, I want to buy, let's take some silly example. Okay, let's suppose I want to buy a fawda, some agricultural implement, let us say, and it is not available on GeM. Okay, the category itself is not available on GeM. Agricultural implement category is not available on GeM. Let us presume for now. I can report it to GeM that I want to purchase agricultural implements as a regular measure. Please include this category in the GeM platform. Okay, so prudence demands that whenever our product is not available, okay, you can go ahead and purchase from outside, but please do report to GeM so that they can, if they deem fit, they can include that product also on the GeM platform. Okay. Am I audible to everybody? My connection shows unstable. So am I audible to everybody?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. Fine. Yeah. So once we have looked at how to select the specifications and how to select the products, I mean, filter the products. Let us see how, once we are floating bid, we should also have some bid conditions. And I have told you that our IRS conditions do not apply. Our general tender conditions do not apply. So what are the conditions which are applicable? First and foremost, the GeM terms and conditions are applicable. Second is, for each case, we have some specific administrative filters. Filters like turnover, past experience with government, whether the firm is a BIS license holder. I can use these as my eligibility criteria. That is, a firm with a minimum turnover of so and so only is eligible to participate. A firm with a minimum 3 years of past experience is only eligible to participate. A firm which is only a BIS license holder is eligible to participate. Okay, these are called administrative filters, which I can use as my eligibility conditions. Now, we can also there are also standard set of additional conditions provided by GeM. So GeM will provide some additional conditions which I can select. It has a pool of conditions. I can select the relevant ones for my tender. So, for example, there's a condition that inspection to be done by a nominated third party. I can select this condition and say pre-inspection to be done by rights. Okay, so this condition is available, that pre-inspection to be done by a nominated third party. I will only add the word third party's name is rights. Okay, then there's another condition that the order shall be placed on firms who have supplied minimum dash percentage of quantity in the last 3 years. I will select this condition as one of my conditions, bid conditions, and I'll say minimum 20%. I'll just fill in the blanks. The condition is there, the standard condition is there in GeM. There's a pool of conditions. I select the relevant condition, and whatever parameters are there, those blanks, I'll just fill it up with my required value. So I can fill 20%. There can be conditions like Make in India preference is applicable to this particular purchase. Fine. I can say Make in India preference. What is the preference percentage? I'll get to that, those details also in this slide. Okay. So those standard set of additional conditions are available on GeM, which I can select and fill in the parameters wherever required. Now GeM allows railways to add up to 4 additional conditions. Okay, but I have written the but here, and that is an important but. The conditions that I add should in no way be contradictory to the conditions already available on GeM. Okay, so if suppose GeM condition says that the payment should be made in 10 days after acceptance, I cannot add a condition on my own that I will make the payment only after 1 month. Okay, so whatever additional conditions I add, GeM will not make a check, but it has put a rider that you cannot add a condition which is contradictory to the existing conditions on GeM. If you do so, such conditions shall be void. Okay, and of course, if it comes to that, you want to add some condition which is otherwise not selectable on GeM, or you cannot even add it, you can always request GeM to add those conditions. Okay, so this is regarding the tender conditions. Of course, I did not tell you about verification of compliance. Earlier, even now, some of the facts that the firm submits are verified by the GeM platform itself. For example, its turnover is verified by GeM directly with the MCA website. Okay, its registration with NSIC or any other MSME is also directly verified by GeM from the concerned authorities. Its BIS status registration with the Bureau of Indian Standards is also directly verified with the BIS servers. Okay, these things are automatically verified by GeM itself. You do not have to worry about verification of these documents. But if you are asking for other documents like past performance in terms of quantities, etc., then you have a facility to call for relevant documents which you can use to verify the eligibility at the time of finalization of tender. Okay, fine. One new feature that has come, which is not in this slide, is that now after the bids have opened, okay, if suppose you want to pass over an offer, you have to record the reasons why you are rejecting that offer, and that reason goes to the firm. They have 48 hours to represent against your reasons. Okay, they cannot furnish fresh document, they cannot furnish fresh things, but if your decision, if your reasoning is wrong, they can represent against that, and within 48 hours that representation will come back to you. Based on the representation, you can change your decision or go ahead with that decision. After that, of course, you are free to do. This is kind of a a safety wall, that in case you are making some error, some faulty reasoning you applied to pass over an offer, the firm can show a heads up, you're doing something wrong, please correct it, and you get one additional chance to correct your mistake. Or else, if you are on the right side, then you can just ignore whatever firm has said, you can go ahead and you can give your orders. Okay. So now, more or less, what I wanted to tell you about GeM is done. Maybe just 3 points, which is not on how to purchase on GeM, but rather how not to purchase on GeM. That means what mistakes we should not make. Just let me highlight it. These are also important things. Maybe for your exams also that will be important. Number one, GeM terms and conditions strictly mention that we should not split procurable quantities to bring it within L1 purchase. Suppose I have a purchase of 6 lakh rupees or 8 lakh rupees. I should not split into 2 purchases of 4 lakh each just to bring it within the limits of L1 purchase. That is prohibited. Number 2, it says not to procure in wrong category. Okay. The idea behind is when you're going for L1 purchase, what you're doing is you're selecting a category and specifications and filtering the available items in that category meeting those specifications. Now, if suppose I want to buy an orange and somebody offers an orange in the category of apples, I go to the category of apples and I list out all the items. Definitely the orange will come out the cheapest one, because there I'm comparing oranges with apples. In that case, what I have done is I have defeated fair competition by comparing oranges with apples and not oranges with other oranges, which was in a different category. For this reason, it is prohibited to offer items or to purchase items in wrong category. If you want to buy bolts, you cannot purchase in rivets. If you want to buy rivets, you cannot buy in bolts, and so on and so forth. Okay, so you must go to the right category for making the purchases. Then, as I have already mentioned, if an item is available but specifications require change, and if you cannot change it because it is contradictory to some existing specifications, please report it to GeM STV. Usually within a week they will resolve your problem. If they are not able to do, then you can go ahead and make purchase from outside GeM. Okay, what is the time? 15:40. Fine, we'll probably do it a bit fast, but we will do. The second one, Nageshwar, with your permission, because I thought this would also be a relevant thing for them, so I've added Make in India preference also. Will that be okay, or has that been covered earlier?
Sir, pardon, sir?
Make in India preference clause, has that been covered in some other class? In which case
No, sir, it's not covered, sir.
Okay, then it is also a very important concept that I think they must be aware of. So I'll just
yes, sir,
introduce it to them.
Please cover.
So again, Make in India preference came somewhere in 2016, if I'm not wrong. And the idea here is that I want to somehow give preference to an offer which is a local offer, okay, in our purchases. But before that, let us understand what is the meaning of a local offer. Okay, so local offer is measured based on the value of product minus value of all imported raw materials. Okay, so whatever the value of product that it is offering to me minus value of all imported raw materials becomes the value of my product. The recent clarification says that marketing, etc. charges are not to be added in the local content. Okay, that is just to clarify, because what happens is some people will just add a markup to make it a local content. So the idea is that whether a supplier is local or not, please understand this, does not depend on the domicile of the supplier. Whether the supplier is sitting in India, in Hyderabad, in US or wherever, it does not matter where the supplier is sitting. What matters is the local content of the product to determine whether the supplier should be treated as class 1 local supplier or class 2 local supplier, or the class 3, so-called class 3 or non-local supplier. Okay. Class 1 local supplier is defined as a supplier which has a minimum local content of 50%. Class 2 local supplier is a minimum local content of 20%. Now, why is this different? What is the funda behind this? Let us see. I'm sorry, बीच में मैं हिंदी में नहीं बताया था, मैं इसको थोड़ा सा बता देता हूँ. मेक इन इंडिया प्रेफरेंस में हम भारत में बनी हुई चीजों को प्रेफरेंस देना चाहते हैं, इसीलिए इसमें प्रेफरेंस उनको दिया जा रहा है जिनका लोकल कंटेंट वैल्यू एडिशन जो इंडिया के अंदर हुआ है वो 50% या 20% से ऊपर है. इस पे बिल्कुल फर्क नहीं पड़ता कि वो कंपनी इंडिया में रजिस्टर्ड है या बाहर रजिस्टर्ड है, इससे कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता है. लोकल कंटेंट कितना है वो इंपॉर्टेंट है. Okay, now when is this preference clause applicable? For each item, there is a nodal ministry. So, for example, for railway specific items, railways is a nodal ministry. For oils and lubricants, Ministry of Oil is the nodal ministry, and so on. Okay, so for each item, there is a nodal ministry, and wherever nodal ministry is of the opinion that sufficient capacity exists, only class 1 local suppliers shall be eligible to participate. अगर नोडल मिनिस्टर ने कह दिया कि इस आइटम में sufficient capacity है local suppliers के पास, then we will only purchase from class 1 local suppliers, nothing else. If it does not exist, then both class 1 and class 2 suppliers can bid. Okay, if sufficient capacity does not exist, both class 1 and class 2 suppliers can bid. In case the purchase is about 200 crores, we can also go for global tender inquiries. Okay, that is the breakup of when only class 1, when only class 1 and class 2, and when class 1, class 2 plus foreign suppliers also can. Again, when I say foreign means local content less than 20% can also participate. Okay. Now, just a minute, please. Just a minute. Kindly give me just 1 minute, one important call to make. I'm very sorry for that break here. Okay, so
no issue, sir.
There are conditions when class 1 suppliers only can bid, when class 1 and class 2 can bid, and when class 1, class 2 as well as non-local suppliers can also participate. Okay, now once we have allowed them to participate, that does not mean that anybody will take the order. No, even when they are allowed to participate, we will give some preference to class 1 supplier. Okay, and what is that preference? Let us see it. Suppose the contract is divisible. Suppose I am floating a tender for supplying 1,000 numbers of computers. So it is divisible, right? I can place order for 500 on one, 500 on another person. So in such cases, if L1 means technically suitable L1 is class 1 supplier, full quantity to be given to L1. No problem there. But if L1 is not class 1, then 50% you place on L1. That is fixed. Balance 50%, please, what they say is, if there is any class 1 supplier within the margin of purchase preference, and if it agrees to match the L1 rate, up to 50% of the order can be placed on this class 1 supplier. What is the margin of purchase preference? Suppose the L1 rate is 100 rupees. Margin of purchase preference is 20%, means if there's any class 1 supplier which is up to rupees 120, that is 20% higher than L1 purchase, then it comes within this margin of purchase preference, and I can counter offer the L1 rate to this firm. If he accepts, I can place 50% of the order on such a class 1 supplier. Okay. If the firm does not accept the counter offer, or if there's no class 1 supplier in this range of 20%, I can place the balance quantity also on the L1 firm itself. Okay. This is as regards the divisible contract. If the contract is indivisible, suppose I want to give the contract for one machine, I cannot break into half. In that case, again, if L1 is class 1, just give the order. If L1 is not class 1, I will counter offer the L1 rate to all to the class 1 suppliers within that margin of purchase preference. If he accepts the counter offer, I will place the full order on class 1 supplier. This is important to note. In indivisible cases, if the firm, class 1 firm, which is within the margin of purchase preference, if it accepts the counter offer, the whole order will go on class 1 supplier, not 50%. Okay. And again, if no class 1 supplier matches the L1 rate, then you can give to the L1 firm in the offer itself, L1 firm in the tender. Okay, now there is also ground key what to do if multiple purchases, like in stores, you'll often see that there is split purchases being made. So in such cases, they have not given any very fixed guidelines, but they only said that margin of purchase preference shall be with respect to the highest non-class 1 supplier, which means if the L1 rate is 100, then highest class 1 supplier, which will be considered, is max to 120 rupees, not beyond that. Second is quantity shall be so divided that at least 50% of it goes to class 1 supplier. That is broad guideline they have given. Detailed conditions can be incorporated in the tender by the respective departments. Okay. Now, what is the procedure? If a firm claims that I'm a class 1 supplier or a class 2 supplier, he has to prove that he has that much of local content. How to do that? Up to 10 crores, it is to be self-certified. Okay, that means the firm will self-certify that yes, in my case, the local content is 50%, 60%, whatever. Railways reserves the right to make an audit check on these self-certification. Wherever it is found wrong, supplier may be debarred. Okay, but if the tender value is more than 10 crores, then such local content has to be certified by a cost accountant. Okay, and in all these cases, the place where local value addition has been done must be indicated. That I have done value addition in so and so factory in so and so state. Okay, these are the necessary conditions. These are the necessary things that the tenderer must submit for him to be able to claim purchase preference. Now, I told you there's a nodal ministry. What is the role of nodal ministry? Let us see. Nodal ministry identifies item where sufficient local competitions do not exist. In such items, class 1 as well as class 2 can bid. You remember I told you. Describe a higher limit for minimum content for class 1 and class 2. So for a specific item, the ministry can say that for this item, the local content to be treated as class 1 supplier shall be 75%. Okay, only higher. They cannot prescribe lower limit. Only higher they can say that's 75%. Okay, that is also by the ministry. And it can constitute a committee for independent verification of local content certificates. So the nodal ministry is also supposed to do random checks on the local content certificates submitted by the firms. These are the jobs of nodal ministry. Next, regarding specifications and eligibility, again, this is prescribed in that Make in India preference order. It says that eligibility criteria should not require, some reference to specification of foreign countries or some export requirements, etc., because that kind of restricts the many local suppliers may not meet those requirements. Matters regarding turnover or capacity should not result in unreasonable restriction or unreasonable exclusion of local suppliers, and specification should not require for foreign certifications or unreasonable technical specifications of brands. These are some common ways by which we see that local suppliers are given a go by. Because I'll say that I want only foreign brands, then I will not get any local suppliers. So the condition specifically mentions that we should not indulge in these kind of practices. Exemptions are available. Maybe for the exam purpose, these exemptions I have listed down. I'll share the slide and you can consult them. The Department of Expenditure can exempt and allow floating of global tender inquiry below 200 crores also. So even below 200 crores, if you really feel that a global tender inquiry is required, you need exemption from Department of Expenditure. Exemption from Secretary of the Purchasing Department. So for example, if we are a secretary in the concerned member railway board, has to give the exemption to include foreign certification requirements. So if I want that for some kind of coach, I want a certification of foreign, some EU certification or something, then it must be exempted by the approval of member railway board. The minister in charge of the purchasing department can approve for reducing margin of purchase preference. So I can say that instead of 20% margin, I will take only 10% margin, or reducing minimum local content. Understand this. Minimum local content requirement can be increased by the department, by the nodal ministry concerned, but it can be reduced only by the minister in charge of the purchasing department. Or in any case-to-case basis, based on the need of the case, the minister in charge can also exempt any particular purchase from these rules, from the rules of Make in India Preference. Okay, these are the broad rules under Make in India Preference Clause, which we must be aware of when we are handling these cases. Next slide is just an introductory version that will not take much time. If you have any questions on GeM or on Make in India Preference, I'd be happy to take those questions now.
Sir, can I unmute you, sir?
Just a moment.
Sir, can I unmute the participant?
Please unmute them. It will be a good if they can raise some questions.
Sir, it's better. Participants, please raise your hand if any queries. I will unmute one by one. Sir, please share this PPT also in the Zoom chat mode, sir. Mr. Ajay Singh, please unmute.
Sir, namaste. What is reverse auction?
Okay.
Sir, what is reverse auction?
Reverse auction. Next slide मेरा reverse auction पे है. तो reverse auction पे question अभी थोड़ा सा हम लोग रोकेंगे. बाकी और कोई question है तो आप लोग बताएं. GeM से related या Make in India Purchase Preference related. There is actually another policy called MSC preference.
Yes.
There is another policy called Micro and Small Enterprises Policy, a preference policy, जो मैंने आज discuss, मैंने इसमें नहीं लिया था because I thought we'll not have the time. But if you have any questions on that, we can discuss those questions also.
Next, Mr. Smita Gupta, please unmute.
Good afternoon, sir.
Yeah, please tell.
Sir, please, golden parameter, subcategory of golden parameter. Please explain, sir.
Golden parameters, ठीक है. Golden parameters का idea ये है कि these are the parameters that have an impact on the price of the product. तो अगर आप कम खरीद रहे हैं तो आपने 4 GB रैम का खरीदा कि 8 GB रैम का खरीदा, उस पे प्रोडक्ट का प्राइस चेंज हो जाएगा. तो जो भी ये ऐसे प्रोडक्ट ऐसे पैरामीटर्स होते हैं उनको GeM ने गोल्डन पैरामीटर्स मार्क कर दिया है. ठीक है ना. द आइडिया इज दैट व्हेन यू आर गोइंग फॉर अ बिडिंग यू मस्ट सेलेक्ट द अलाउड वैल्यूज फॉर ऑल गोल्डन पैरामीटर्स. ठीक है ना. सो अगर आप GeM के थ्रू खरीदने जा रहे हैं, अगर आपने वो कॉलम खाली छोड़ दिया तो GeM आपको एक मैसेज देता है, you have not selected the allowed values for golden parameters point. So do you want to leave it open for all specifications? और इसका रीजन क्या है ये भी मैंने आपको बताया. सपोज हमारा गोल्डन पैरामीटर है प्रोसेसर टाइप। प्रोसेसर कौन कौन से होते हैं? मान लीजिए सेलेरॉन है, i3 है, i5 है, i7 है। अगर आपने इसको खाली छोड़ दिया तो आपका ऑफर सेलेरॉन का भी आ सकता है एंड यू कैन नॉट पास इट ओवर। दैट इज व्हाई इट इज रिक्वायर्ड दैट वी सेलेक्ट व्हाट वी एक्चुअली रिक्वायर। तो लेट अस से मैं कहूंगा कि फॉर माय रिक्वायरमेंट i5 or above is okay, so I'll select i5, i7 and i9. I will not accept Celeron and i3. So once I've selected those values, when the bid opens, only offer i5 will come, and if anybody says that I will give i3, I can pass out those offers because मेरे bid condition में बड़ा clearly लिखा है that acceptable values are only i5, i7 and i9. That is the idea behind GeM, golden parameters in GeM. Okay, there is one question on chat from Mr. Ajit. It says, can we supersede the GeM terms and conditions by adding special terms and conditions from IRS and GCC? As I told you, no. GeM terms and conditions are supreme when we are purchasing on GeM. You have the facility to add special terms and conditions, but it is very clearly mentioned that such special terms and conditions cannot supersede or cannot contradict the existing conditions of GeM itself. If you add such conditions, they are void. If you really want to add some condition which is contradicting the existing GeM conditions, please report it to GeM, who will probably consider and add that as a special condition for you. Okay, but we cannot do that. We cannot add any condition which in any way contradicts or supersedes the GeM terms and conditions.
Next, Mr. PSV, please unmute.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Hello, sir. When we are paying for GeM products through iPass and something, as we discussed now, some contradiction rules of these stores matters are coming way. Can we bypass those conditions and admit only GeM conditions for passing these?
Okay. तो GeM में आपको पेमेंट के लिए आता होगा, उसमें there are some purchases which are not following the IRS conditions. Correct?
Yes, sir.
Am I correct? Was that your
Yes,
question?
sir.
Can you pass
Yes,
such
sir.
bills? When the purchase
Yes,
is
sir.
not as per IRS conditions, can you pass such bills?
Yes, sir.
Please understand, as I told you, whenever we are making a purchase on GeM, it is governed by terms and conditions available on GeM. It is not governed by IRS conditions of contract.
Yes,
as
sir.
far as the contract is concerned, as far as the act of purchase is concerned, it is governed by GeM terms and conditions. And if it is complying with that, I cannot say that because it is not following IRS conditions, I will not accept it. Okay, number one. However, apart from the contractual side of it, we also have several internal conditions. Who will approve? Okay, so for example, in case of PAC, we have a specific rule that PAC above so and so value will be, PAC will be signed by so and so officer. That is an internal rule of approvals and workflow, which I can still continue. Okay, so I can say that I will not make a purchase until I have taken a sanction of PCMM. But having taken a sanction of PCMM, the conditions that will be applicable to the contract shall not be of IRS, but rather of GeM terms and conditions. Okay, so on GeM, the conditions available on GeM are supreme. We cannot say that this is a wrong purchase just because it is not as per IRS conditions. Have I answered your question?
Mr. Mandal, please.
Good afternoon, sir. Sir, I am asking about sir class 1 and class 2 DeFi investment, sir. Sir, what is
ठीक है, मैं साइड पे वापस चला जाता हूँ, एक मिनट. What is meant by class 1 and class players?
Yes, sir.
So you see, पहले let us understand the rationale कि ये class 1, class 2 नॉन लोकल ने बनाया क्यों है. उसका बेसिकली ग्राउंड यहाँ पे है. अगर लोकल कैपेसिटी सफिशिएंट है तो ओनली क्लास 1 सप्लायर कैन पार्टिसिपेट इन रेलवे टेंडर्स. क्लास 2 सप्लायर विल नॉट गेट द ऑर्डर्स. ओके, तो इसलिए किसी भी फर्म के लिए क्लास 1 लोकल सप्लायर डिक्लेयर होना अच्छी बात है, बिकॉज ही विल बी एबल टू गेट ऑर्डर्स ऑफ सच आइटम्स. सिमिलरली अगर कोई फर्म क्लास 2 सप्लायर है तो कैटेगरी 2 में वो पार्टिसिपेट कर पाएगी, वरना कैटेगरी 2 में भी नहीं कर पाएगी. ठीक है ना. तो क्लास 1 क्लास 2 से किस टेंडर में वो फर्म एलिजिबल होता है वो डिटरमिन होता है. So class 1 and class 2 determine the eligibility in separate tenders. Now what is class 1 and class 2 comes here. Class 1 is a supplier which has a minimum value addition, local value addition of 50%. A class 2 local supplier is a supplier which is offering a product with minimum local value addition of 20%. Class 1 ho gaya, class 2 ho gaya. Anything which is beyond, which is less than 20% becomes a non-local supplier. Okay. Have I made it clear, Mondalji?
Yeah. Sir, no more queries, sir.
No, there are some on chat. Let me just take them.
Okay, sir, please address us.
So one question says, GeM available for both stock items and non-stock items? Yes. GeM does not differentiate between stock and non-stock items. GeM only knows items. So if your stock item is available on GeM, please purchase it on GeM. If a non-stock available is available on GeM, please purchase it on GeM. So there's no differentiation between stock and non-stock items on GeM. Next question by Mr. Ajay Singh is, GeM is applicable for only government sector? As of now, yes. As of now, only government departments can register as buyers on GeM. It's something which we have to see further as to whether allow private sector people also to purchase on GeM. We don't know. As of now, government sector only government sector offices are allowed to register as buyers on GeM. I will also say central government buyers, that means buyers in the central government offices, is mandatory to come on GeM. It is available on GeM. Okay. Then there's another question says, sir, in case of service contract through GeM, is it mandatory to have manual agreements? I don't think so. GeM is concerned, manual agreements are not required. The order gets released on GeM. All the terms and conditions of the order are available on GeM. So as far as GeM is concerned, manual agreements are not required. For some internal working. So for example, in stores, after the GeM purchase order is released, we also release an internal order on IMMS also. That is solely for the purpose of accountal of material and payment of bills. It has no contractual value at all. Similarly, for some internal workflow, if you want to have some manual agreement, maybe you can have it. It's not barred, but it's not required as far as GeM is concerned. Then there's a question from Ajit. Vetting of GeM contracts is required from accounts department. Okay. Ajit. Please tell me. Okay. Ajit, a very pertinent question. Vetting of GeM GeM contract is required from accounts department. What is the procedure in your railway? Can you just share with us if you have any idea?
Sir.
Ajit ji?
Yeah, Ajay ji.
Not yet decided. Okay, fine. See, I will tell you. Okay. Yeah, okay. He has. I think he has written on chat itself. So see, I'll tell you one thing. GeM, as I said, GeM does not look at your sanctions. GeM does not look at your internal approvals. And vetting is also something which does not look. It is an internal policy matter which you and your department can look after. GeM will not be worried about that. As far as GeM is concerned, is not bothered whether your PO is vetted or not vetted. Number one. Number two, GeM, there is no such concept of a draft PO being prepared and then it will be after vetted, it will be numbered. The moment an acceptance is made, the PO gets generated. Okay. So that possibility of vetting itself is very difficult. There is a possibility that you might take the prints and send it to accounts, etc. But GeM platform is not built in a way that will easily allow you to do the thing and then release the purchase order in the normal course. Okay. And thirdly, please understand, there's a circular that was issued somewhere in from 2017 itself or 2018, which say that if any purchase order is prepared automatically, I think that's through IMS, but I'm not very sure, then it does not require vetting. So looking at these three things together, I would say that vetting of GeM contracts is not required in my opinion. I'm not giving a tentative opinion. In my opinion, it is not required. But you can always do a post check as you do, and you can always, seek the details for funds booking. That part you can do. Okay. But per se, number one, vetting is not practical, but the system is not designed for that. Number two, GeM does not require any such thing. And number three, maybe the rules, if we read it in concern with these, it may also not demand a vetting of such cases. Okay. Then next question is, can GFR 17 conditions supersede the GeM conditions? Of course, yes. Because GeM itself, we are working on GeM under GFR. So GFR say over GeM conditions. So if there is anything in GFR which maybe contradicts GeM conditions, then we have to follow GFR as far as the working is concerned. Contractually, though, GFR is not a part of the tender conditions. So if a contract has been formed, the contract will be governed only by GeM terms and conditions. It is just the same as our railway. We have a lot of internal circulars. We are supposed to abide by those circulars. But once a contract has been formed, as far as the relationship between me vis-a-vis the firm is concerned, is governed only by the contractual conditions and not by the internal circulars that I am subject. Same here. I'm supposed to follow GFR, but once a contract is placed, the contractual condition between me and the firm is only the GeM terms and conditions. Then there's another question on, sir, we bought a thermal screening through GeM. The supplier was from Gurgaon. The machine got spoiled and firm is not attending. Can we restrict for local suppliers? Yes. That possibility is available. You should be very careful when you're doing that, because that's a restriction on competition. GeM does allow you, especially in services, does allow you to insist that the person who's offering the must belong to your area, either maybe your state or your district, or a set of 3 or 5 districts. That is possible, particularly for services. Okay. Not sure that it is possible in goods also or not. Goods, it may not be possible, but services it does allow. Okay. The role of account department for procurement with GeM. There are 2 roles which I envisage. First is when you need something, you will make an indent and that is procured through GeM. And second is it will come to you for payment. So at the time of payment, you have to understand the timelines of GeM. You have to understand how the payment modalities are, etc., etc. And over a period of time, as GeM payment for us also gets integrated, then you'll have to actually go and make payment on GeM platform itself rather than making payment on iOS. Other than this also, because as I said, the internal working has not changed. So all internal rules regarding finance concurrence, etc., you have to make it all those. So still those purchases will come to your finance concurrence before it goes for sanction. You can question the need for that purchase, etc., etc. All those things are still available. All those things are still there, where accounts department has to intervene. Delegation to GeM procurement, who has the powers, or like going outside themselves? I will only mention that here. The rule says if for certain reasons to be recorded in writing, and there are specific reasons mentioned, like supply from GeM cannot come in the desired time, etc., etc. Then up to a certain 8 lakhs or something, with the approval of higher authority, purchase can be made outside GeM even for them which are available on GeM. That is the only thing which the rule mentions. Okay. So as far as that is concerned, there's no other power available to go outside GeM if GeM is available in GeM. Okay. I'm only mentioning the rule to you right now. This is available in our model SOP. I don't have the exact wordings right now, but if you go to model SOP, you'll be able to find what is the exact value limit and what are the conditions under which such a proposal can be mooted to procure from outside GeM. Purchasing at less cost is not one of the reasons. You cannot say that because the item is available at lesser cost outside GeM, so I'm purchasing outside GeM. That's not a valid reason for purchasing outside GeM. Okay, that is all. Okay, some more questions. please provide your contact number. Yes, I will do that. I will do that. I still have 5-10 more minutes to bore you. Then probably I'll share my numbers. Okay.
Okay, sir.
So just give me 5 minutes. There's one more topic left which we have to cover. That topic I have taken only one slide because I do not really want to bother with the procedurals. I only want to give you the concept and the broad guidelines, and that should suffice for your purpose. This we have seen. Yeah, reverse auction. Just some pointers for you for your examination purpose. First, reverse auction is mandatory above rupees 10 crores. What happens in a reverse auction is we float a first stage bid, where we call for it's a 2-packet tendering system. So each firm will submit 2 packets, technical offer and financial offer. They will submit it. All the offers will be evaluated based on the techno-commercial offer. All the techno-commercially suitable offers, their financial packets will be opened. Okay. Let's say in the financial offers, I got 7 eligible offers are there whose financial packets have been opened. Out of this, a certain proportion, details again, I am not told you. If it is less than 3, all 3 will be taken. If it is more than 5, 1 more than half will be taken. Those kind of rules are there. Detailed rules I'm not getting into. A certain proportion of the eligible vendors will be selected for RE bidding. So if suppose there are 7 vendors who are eligible, the top 4, that means the 4 with the lowest initial price bid, the bid in the financial offer, will be called for the reverse auction. Reverse auction forms the second stage. Now in reverse auction, the initial price bid of the lowest offer in the first stage, that becomes the base price. Okay. From there, the bidding will start. The firm will keep bidding down and down and down. Okay. And the lowest rate received in this reverse auction will get accepted. Okay. If no lower rate is received, suppose the initial price bid in second stage is 100 rupees, nobody didn't bid below 100 rupees, then the order will be placed on that L1 firm, which was L1 in the first stage itself at that rate. Okay. Otherwise, if a bid have come, the order will go to the lowest bidder in the auction. There are provisions available in IREPS to handle placement of developmental orders separately and bulk orders separately, for placement of MSC orders separately, non-MSC orders separately. Lot of combinations, permutations are available. This is a very rosy field. Rosy I say because it has a lot of thorns in it. Because each time you dabble in it, you will see that the rules do not clearly define what is to be done, and each time you have to make an interpretation. That part is in the domain of purchase officers and maybe the TC members. Let us leave that. But the idea is that those preference clauses can also be operated in the reverse auction mode. I've explained the procedure. A lot of people do not understand what reverse auction actually is. So let me just give me 2 minutes and I'll explain to you what reverse auction is. During an auction, I want to sell, let us say, my watch on OLX. I say my price is 100 rupees, start bidding more. Somebody will bid 101, 102, 103. The bid keeps going on. Suppose the highest bid that comes is 110. I'll say, okay, sold. So 110 rupees pay, I've sold my watch to somebody else. Okay. Reverse auction is just the reverse of this. Instead of selling, I'm trying to buy. And when I'm buying, what I'm saying is, I want to buy, let us say, 1 wristwatch or 100 wristwatches, and my price is 1,000 rupees. Start bidding lower. Now, supplier will say, one supplier will say, okay, I'm ready to supply you 10 watches or 100 watches in 900 rupees. So I'm say I'll give you 890 rupees. And the bid keeps coming lower and lower. Suppose the final bid that comes is 850 rupees. And I'll say, okay, purchase, which means, fine, yours is the lowest offer now, so I'll purchase from you. Idea behind reverse auction is, people say that if the market is fairly competitive for that product, reverse auction is expected to give us much more competitive prices than tendering. Okay, that is where reverse auction has been adopted as a possible mode of purchase in several places. That is what reverse auction is all about. Okay, fine. So that is all from my end. Any questions on reverse auction or anything else? Please shoot.
Yeah. Participants, please raise your questions. Raise your hands. or else you can message in the chat box. Sir, in the meantime, please share the PPT in the Zoom chat, sir.
The Zoom chat, is it?
Yes, sir. It is Zoom chat in the
I do that.
is there. Sir, before that, to close the PPT in
Correctly.
the desktop, sir. Otherwise, it is not possible to share.
I will stop share.
Yes.
I have PPT, just a moment.
Yes, sir.
That's a
And
new
close
thing. I didn't know
the
that. So
PPT in
maybe
the desktop.
that will be a good way to share. Otherwise, each time.
Yes. Please click the chart, sir. And select everyone. On the right side, document option is there, sir.
Great. Yeah, that's a good option. That's a very good option. Okay, so I have just now shared the PPT on the chat. You take it from there. It is uploading. It may probably take another minute or so. I have also given my phone number on chat. So if anybody wants to contact me, please feel free. I'll be happy to discuss with you. There is another question here. Can we amend the GeM contract period payment variations, sir? Yeah, there is a possibility to amend the contract period, which means to amend the delivery date in GeM. That possibility is there. It can be done with the consent of both the parties and can be incorporated in the GeM contract itself. Regarding variation in payments, I don't know. I have not heard of this. What kind of amendment do you want in payment? Mr. Ajit, if you can tell me what kind of amendment are you looking at in payments?
Mr. Ajay Singh, please unmute.
सर नमस्ते
नमस्ते अजीत जी।
सर ये रिवर्स ऑक्शन के बारे में हिंदी में थोड़ा बताएं सर। रिवर्स ऑक्शन हिंदी में।
ठीक है, मैं आपको अभी बता देता हूँ। अजीत जी का आंसर देने के बाद फिर मैं आपको रिवर्स ऑक्शन हिंदी में बता दूंगा।
ओके सर।
पेमेंट का क्या था अजीत जी, अगर आप मुझे बताएं तो आई जस्ट रिस्पॉन्ड टू दैट। और वेरिएशंस जेम में गुड्स में तो कोई वेरिएशन अलाउड नहीं है। ऑप्शन क्लॉज maybe as a special condition option clause available. I will check it up. मैं इसको एक बार चेक करूंगा, मैं आपको बताऊंगा. I think option clause is there as a special condition that can be added, but let me just confirm on this. I think some option clause is available. So variation works contract, service contract is just the same as option clause contract. So if it is available there, it will be available here also. But let me just check upon this. Then, Acha, Ajit ji said 2 years to 3 years. What is 2 years and 3 years in this, Ajit ji? Payment period तो ठीक है, वो आपने कॉन्ट्रैक्ट का वेरिएशन की बात हो गई। वेरिएशन एज आई टोल्ड यू कि जेम में कुछ प्रोविजन है मेरे ख्याल में, मैं चेक करके एक बार आई विल शेयर विद ऑल ऑफ यू, मे बी आई विल शेयर विद नागेश्वर राव जी एंड ही कैन पुट इट ऑफ टू ऑल ऑफ यू। एंड पेमेंट का अगर आप मुझे बताएंगे तो आई विल प्रोबब्ली बी एबल टू रिस्पॉन्ड फर्दर। देन सेम कि हिंदी में एक बार रिवर्स ऑक्शन पर हम बता दें। रिवर्स ऑक्शन बेसिकली हम जैसे सामान बेचते हैं तो ऑक्शन करते हैं। ऑक्शन करने में क्या होता है, मैं कहता हूँ कि ठीक है स्टार्ट विद 100 रुपीज, 100 रुपीज चालू करिए और आप ज्यादा से ज्यादा बिड करिए। कितने 101 बिड किया, 110 बिड किया, 120 बिड किया, जो मैक्सिमम बिड आया मैं उसको बेच देता हूँ। फाइन, सोल्ड एट 120 रुपीज। अगर मैं चेज करना चाहता हूँ मैं इसका उल्टा कर सकता हूँ। मैं कहूँगा मैं स्टार्ट कर रहा हूँ 100 रुपए से, मुझे 10 घड़ियां खरीदनी है, 10 वॉच खरीदनी है, जितने कम से कम में सप्लाई करने को तैयार है मुझे बिड करिए। somebody will say I will supply in 90 रुपीज, कोई कहेगा 90 रुपए में मैं आपको सप्लाई कर दूंगा, कोई कहेगा 80 में कर दूंगा, कोई 75 में कर दूंगा। लोएस्ट मान लीजिए मेरे पास है 75 रुपए, तो आई विल से ठीक है, परचेज एट 75 रुपीज, लोएस्ट प्राइस पे मैं परचेज कर लूंगा। तो जैसे टेंडर में हम लोएस्ट प्राइस देखते हैं, वैसे ही रिवर्स ऑक्शन में भी जो लोएस्ट बिड आया उस पर हम एक्सेप्ट कर लेते हैं। आइडिया ये है, ऐसा देखा गया है कि जो भी कॉम्पिटिटिव मार्केट होता है, जहाँ पे बहुत सारे सप्लायर्स हैं, प्रोडक्ट बड़ा ही कॉमन टाइप का प्रोडक्ट है, वहां पे जनरल बिडिंग रिवर्स अच्छे रेट्स मिल जाते हैं कंपेयर टू टेंडरिंग। ओके, उसका भागत उसकी पूरी थ्योरी है, उसका उसके ऊपर पूरी लोगों ने रिसर्च कर डाली है। तो लेट्स नॉट गेट इनटू दैट। द आइडिया इज दैट इट इज अ गुड मोड ऑफ डिस्कवरिंग द प्राइस। बेस्ट प्राइस डिस्कवर करने का एक बहुत अच्छा तरीका है, इसलिए हमने रिवर्स ऑक्शन को भी अडॉप्ट किया है। दैट डज नॉट मीन दैट टेंडरिंग इज बैड। टेंडरिंग इज आल्सो गुड, रिवर्स ऑक्शन इज आल्सो वन मोड, समटाइम्स is better than tendering in some cases. Okay.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Period. Yeah, as I said, contract period in your case from 2 years or 3 years would operate as a variation. तो variation के बारे में मैं जरा देख के आपको बताऊंगा जी। This part I am not 100% पक्का, so I'll just confirm it, then I'll come back to you.
Any more queries? Please address your queries in the chat box, or please raise your hand. Sir, it seems no queries, sir. Huh?
Right. So it was a good session. Thank you so much. Thank you everybody for the patient listening.
So,
thank you Nageshwar Raji for giving me this opportunity. I had been turning down your request for quite some time.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Our AFA10 will say out of time.
on behalf of the academy, I thank all the participants. I also thank the speaker of the day, Sri Ankur Srivastav, the Dy.CVO stores. Thank you one and all. Just to remind that tomorrow's session will be on traffic suspense. Log in at 14:45 hours. Session will start at 15 hours sharp. Thank you one and all. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thanks a lot. Thank you.